All right, Wilson, let's get today started, shall we? 6:33, downtown Billings, 54 degrees. Here's a look at First News. Fair, accurate, you get the damn truth. Well, we got a break from Hurricane Milton. Sure, it was damaging, and it brought storm surge, heavy rain, and some gusty winds at times, too. In fact, the maximum wind they found was 120 near shoreline in Siesta Key. But other than that, it could have been far worse. It's some of the densely populated areas around Tampa, St. Pete, Sarasota, Fort Myers. Said it was Category 3 when it made landfall, dissipated quickly, though. Brought a lot of heavy rain, and it did bring damage. 3 million people are without power. Ron DeSantis had 55,000 utility trucks sitting there inland waiting to get out on the road today. We'll learn at first light this morning what the damage really is like. Some places recorded 16 inches of rain, according to the National Weather Service, so there were warnings of flash flooding. But as far as top 10 hurricanes of all time, it didn't fit within the parameters of that. But with 3 million homes and businesses without power, those 55,000 utility trucks are going to be busy fixing the damage again over the next week or so. Israel continues to move their way into Lebanon, trying to weed out these last little groups of Hamas-run terrorist organizations that want to kill the entire population of Israel. They were in there yesterday weeding out, looking for the leaders again. They've killed 7 out of 10 in the last few weeks. Still no real major strike, though, on Iran after Iran launched a large-scale air attack on Israel last week, but it is coming. In the meantime, Joe Biden and Israel's prime minister held their first call in weeks. The conversation came as Israel expands their ground incursion into Lebanon and will respond to Iran's ballistic missile attack. Kamala Harris was also there to join in on the conversation. We have no word on what she may have added to it. The Prime Minister's office said that Donald Trump has called Benjamin Netanyahu over the past few weeks, congratulated him on his operations against the terrorist group Hezbollah. Trump said that they want to speak and meet more often to try to restore peace around the globe. Some of the worries about the hurricane down there, environmentalists are raising concern about pollution that is left over, including one from a phosphate fertilizer mining site down in the peninsula. They're worried about what may have escaped into the water supply, but you can't really do much in these times of natural disasters. Oh, and one of the secretaries for the International Maritime Organization said international shipping companies now need to do more to decarbonize their fleets. We just worked on getting those ships up and running again at 36 different ports, and environmentalists are now targeting them. They said the shipping industry is responsible for greenhouse gas emissions, must come under heavy pressure to decarbonize. Folks, if these people get their way, we won't even exist anymore. No cows, no food, no shipping, no fossil fuels. No energy. We'll just be all naked, running around in daisy fields, trying to eat grubs and worms. They're continuing their pressure on that industry. Delta Airlines said their third quarter earnings were down 26%. Why? Fallout from that big technology outage. It canceled thousands of flights back in July. The second straight quarter that Delta's profits have dropped. Delta said that it expects to return to year-over-year earnings growth, though, in the fourth quarter. Why? Well, bookings for Thanksgiving and Christmas, very strong right now. The CEO said he expects Americans to pull back on spending for travel until they know the outcome of the November elections. We talked to you at length this morning about the Social Security program. You're going to learn today how big of a benefit you will get next year, and it won't be much. They are broke, maybe 2.5%, which would be smaller than the past 2 years, and 70 million people around America are drawing out of the Social Security fund one way or another. The average benefit right now is $1,920 a month. They said the increase next year would add about another $48 a month to your Social Security check. Form Energy, which is a company that's going to start producing long-lasting alternatives to lithium batteries, hit a milestone Wednesday. They got $405 million in funding. The money will allow them to speed up manufacturing of their first factory in West Virginia to create and research development of a new type of battery, something that would lower carbon emissions that causes our climate to change. Because they make clean energy available when the sun isn't shining or the wind isn't blowing. They are going to start developing that plant here very soon. U.S. stocks yesterday hit some swings up and down, and then we closed ahead for the day. The S&P 500 climbed 0.7%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rallied to 434-point gain. That's a new record for the Dow. NASDAQ also gained 0.6 point. Oil prices eased a little bit last month. U.S. inflation still cutting into your wallet. The Consumer Price Index, when it's released today, is expected to have risen 2.3% in September from where it was 12 months earlier. That's still an increase. That means costs are still going up. A reading likely reflects, they say, lower gas prices and only a slight rise in food prices. But nonetheless, folks, like I said, you want me to use the banana analogy again? We're only going to shove it up your rectum another 2.5% further. So is that going to cause pain to the American consumer or not?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. We need it to start being removed.
Soon you're going to feel a little pressure.
Right, exactly. That's how they describe it. Maybe yours is better than mine. But still, folks, inflation taking hold of your monthly budget. Still, Chinese stocks yesterday down again. The Wall Street movement yesterday seemed to calm things down a little bit in Shanghai and others, that they've been feeling some pressure in China as their economy slowed down. Leading the way yesterday were some things going on that saw at least some prospects for future gain. Norwegian Cruise Line, for instance, they were up 10.9% yesterday, after they suggested there's some growth right now in the cruise industry. The cruise industry, they said, has some real legs right now. Carnival was up 7%. Royal Caribbean, they were also up 5.3% yesterday. The company behind these new Hydro Flask water bottles, they were up 17.9% after reporting profits. KinderCare Learning up 8.9% yesterday. They have 2,400 childhood education centers around the country where they take kids between 6 weeks and 12 years of age. The slump yesterday was from Boeing after Boeing withdrew their contract offer. They offered them a 30% raise over 4 years, and they turned it down. So Boeing yesterday was down 3.4% by the time the bell rang in the afternoon. Montana's Attorney General has testified before our state commission during a hearing yesterday. At issue is his defense of a law allowing the state's governor to fill judicial vacancies. The law was part of a nationwide effort to make the judiciary more conservative, according to his opponents. The hearing begins Wednesday, could last up to 3 days. They filed their complaints against Austin Knudsen, but Knudsen defended his actions, said his office could have used language that maybe wasn't so sharp, but they are following the law. Oh, and time for the recalls. We mentioned yesterday the one from Sara Lee. That bakery's pushing back on the Food and Drug Administration. They wanted them to start using different labels because they said their products contain sesame. Bimbo Bakeries USA, which includes brands like Sara Lee and Ballpark Buns and Rolls, they defied the FDA warning that said that their products were misbranded. Sara Lee is defending their products, saying they are not. Honda Motor Company is recalling vehicles. 1.7 million of them. A manufacturing issue that could make it difficult to steer the vehicles, and that could lead to a crash. Honda reported last week that regulators issued the recall of a steering gearbox assembly could have been manufactured incorrectly, which could cause excessive internal friction. That could cause the vehicle to not steer properly, and then that could cause the increase of a likelihood of a crash. So because the government says so, they have to recall all those models, 2022 to 25, certain Acura, certain Civics, certain CRVs. You'll be notified. None of them recalled, though, based on that Honda last week that all of a sudden went 120 miles an hour.
He couldn't slow it down.
Couldn't slow it down. Couldn't stop it. Couldn't shut it off. Nothing. They still don't know what caused that. And a couple of twin brothers who were born conjoined celebrated their first birthday after undergoing a successful separation surgery. Amari and Javar Rufin. The family lives in Philly. They were born via cesarean. The brothers were born conjoined. They shared part of their sternum, diaphragm, and abdominal wall, and also part of the liver. They weighed a combined 6 pounds when they were born, but on August the 21st, a surgical team in Philly with 24 other specialists there operated for about 8 hours. They separated the boys. Their abdomens were closed, rebuilt layers of mesh and plastic surgery techniques, put them all back together again. Well, they went home yesterday with their parents. They're all in their own beds. Can you imagine the feeling their parents have, seeing each one of them now in a crib instead of joined together? They learned 12 weeks into their pregnancy through ultrasound that they were conjoined, and they recommended that she terminate her pregnancy. She got a second opinion. The hospital said that they could be separated successfully. So they decided to give those boys a chance at life, and now they are each on their own. They are doing fine, and they are at home. Conjoined twins occur roughly once in about every 80,000 births. The hospital in Philly is one of only a few in the U.S. that has that expertise in separating conjoined twins, but hopefully these two boys now will live normal lives forever, and thank God their mother made the right decision.
No kidding.
Cat Country News Time is 6:47. We'll check sports and weather next.
In sports, Major League Baseball playoffs, I don't know if you know this, but the Mets were not favored. And they knocked the Phillies out last night, so they're moving on. Some of the members of the Dodgers are complaining about the gamesmanship from some of the Padres and the trash they're talking.
Oh, yeah?
You're making zillions of dollars. It's Major League Baseball. You're professional. Sometimes there's going to be bad language.
That's right. Hey, batter, batter. Hey, batter, batter. Swing! Yeah, you're getting $26 million a year.
Right.
Ohtani's getting way more than that.
$700 million.
Yeah.
Also, NFL football tonight. San Francisco at Seattle. As San Fran struggling a little bit this year when they were picked by some to go to the Super Bowl. And from the ESPN website, I see you can get tickets for that game as low as $114. And apparently, NFL tickets go with what kind of game you're getting. Now, if you want to go to the Atlanta-Carolina game this week, Carolina, the worst team in the league, you can go to that game for $20.
There you go, Wilson. Road trip.
That's right.
71 degrees today and 70 tomorrow. No rain in this forecast. 60s over the weekend. So the weather, the temperatures are okay. We just need some moisture out there. 54 out there right now. 649. And that's what's happening. Mark and Paul, game day today. Thanks for tuning into the Cat. Got a chance for you to win some tickets to the Nile Rodeo this weekend.